Well guys, Skilim have done it again. They have released yet another update for Luminar Neo. In this version, update 1.10, I'm going to take a look at what is new for us, and there is one thing that has me very excited indeed. So to explain to you why I'm excited by this update, let me take you on a little trip down memory lane. This is a Nikon D70. It was my first ever DSLR camera. It's nearly 20 years old. It's got a 6 megapixel sensor and a teeny tiny weeny little screen there. So cute. But this captured a lot of important memories for me over the years, but unfortunately the images it captured, they don't really hold up compared to today's standards. Luminar Neo's Upscale AI extension is designed to solve that problem and take low-res files, increase the size of them and improve the quality as well. However, up until now, I've been so dissatisfied with the results, I barely use it at all. So I'm delighted to hear that this update of Luminar Neo has had a revamp of the algorithm that drives the Upscale AI process. So in this video, we're going to explore whether or not it is actually an improvement over what was there already. But before we do that, let me show you how we update to this newest version of Luminar Neo, and we'll also take a look at what the other new features are that have come in with this version. Just come to the Luminar Neo menu, come down to Help, and here you can check for updates. And then all we need to do is click Install Updates. The installer's downloaded and we just need to click Install and Accept. The first improvement you'll see is a user interface improvement, and that is the ability to collapse down these extension modules here. You just click on the extension title and it either opens it up or closes it down. And why is that a good thing? Well, as new extensions get released, they'll be able to be populated in here without us having to scroll down to see the different extensions. Having them collapsible like this is a nice little feature. Now, if you're someone who likes to expand your creative possibilities by adding creative assets, you can now easily do that through the Extras tab. It's available from any of the main sections inside of Luminar Neo, but it's over here on the right hand side. We just click Extras, and that's going to take you to the area where you can add the extensions as they're released. And now we have easy access to the marketplace where you can get presets, new skies, lookup tables, and even overlays as well. And of course we can access the X membership for Luminar as well. A really nice improvement is when you're in the editing section, if you open up any tool and you want to find out more about it, we now have this info icon here. And so if you just click that, it will tell you a little bit more about what the tool is and how to use it. So if you're ever in doubt, you can just read this tool guide, and if you want to learn more, you can click that button to take you to more in-depth information. Also, Skilim have added support for the new Sony cameras, the ZV-E1 and the Sony FX30 as well. There have also been improvements to the masking in Mask AI, where the developers have worked on both the speed and the accuracy of the masking. And there's also been enhancements to the Sky AI as well. Again, we can see the tool information there if we want to look at that. So if we come in on this very low res photo here and just click a sky we want to use, and that's dropped that sky in quite nicely, as I would expect. Now, a lot of these improvements and updates are incremental. They're not going to blow your mind, but I certainly appreciate and admire the fact that the Skilim developers in the Ukraine are working so hard to continually improve our user experience. And I do notice that with each update that they release, things do get a little bit faster, a bit smoother, and just the overall editing experience does become more enjoyable as well. But the thing I'm most interested in is, has Upscale AI actually been improved? Lord knows it needed to be. It was really lagging behind. So let's take a look at whether that algorithm has been improved. So here's a little selection of photos from over 20 years ago featuring me and my wife, and I'm going to see what we can do with the upscale technology. So all we need to do is just open up the little tab there and just drag and drop. And that is absolutely one of the beauties of this tool, is just how simple it is to use. We've got a couple of options buried in here, one of which is the face enhancer, and we can also choose the upscaling algorithm. There is an experimental option, but I'm just going to stick with universal, and for now I'm going to avoid the face enhancer AI because we're going to look at what that does shortly. But for now I'm going to choose a 4x scale increase because we're dealing with a very small file which is barely even 2 megapixels. This was off the old Olympus camera, very low resolution, a lot of JPEG compression, so I'll just click to set this bad boy off and we'll see what it spits out. And now the result is sent into the upscale folder where I have already run several upscaling tests, and it's those tests that we're going to look at now. Okay, Luminar exclusive users, please forgive the fact that we are in Photoshop here. It was just a way for me to actually load up all of these photos into folders, so it was easier for me to show you the differences. This bottom original file here shows exactly what the file looks like with all of that nasty JPEG compression going on. It's all very pixelated. It really isn't a very nice photo file to work with at all. So the first comparison I'm going to show you by clicking the eyeball tool here is Luminar's Upscale AI with version 1.09. So here's our before, here's our after. Are you paying attention? Because you're going to need to. It's really hard to actually see the difference. This is the original quality, and this is after Luminar's run its upscaling when it was at version 1.09. There is barely any difference between the original and the upscaled version. And it was because of this that I was so disappointed with Luminar's Upscale AI up until now. Let's have a look at what version 1.10 can do. I'm going to hide the version created by 1.09, not that you can see much of a difference. And now I'm going to reveal the version created with 1.10. This is before, this is after. It's getting a little bit soft. However, the actual quality is so much better on this new version than what we had before. So this is the original 1.10, before, after, before and after, before and after. If we zoom into my very yellow looking teeth and we look at the original, you can see all of the pixelation, all of the compression, and then in the Luminar upscale version, that is all gone. So here's our before, here's our after. I think that's actually doing such a better job than the other version was. Let's look at the other version again. This was their original upscale AI algorithm, and this is the new one. So overall on our first test image, it's definitely improvement, but I need to show you something that you need to be really careful of and mindful of. There is that face enhancer checkbox, and you would think, well, I want the faces in there enhanced. Let me show you why you really need to avoid that. All right, we've got the faces right there where we can see them. This is our upscaled version without any face enhancer. And now watch this, I'm going to turn the face enhancer on, and what has happened? Here's the before, here is the after. What is going on? Why do we want our faces altered? Why does Luminar think that this is a face enhancement? So that is one aspect of the tool that still really needs a lot of work. And just as a little teaser, I'm going to show you what is actually possible, not with Luminar Neo, so I don't want to go too deep into it in this video, but I will cover it in a future video. So this is a teaser of what is possible. You've seen what Luminar Neo can do. That's with its own face enhancer turned on. This is what is possible. So here's our before, here's our after. Then we come into the eyes. Before, an image with just a lot of JPEG compression. Here's our after. We've actually introduced detail such as hair around the eyebrows. Like, that is absolutely phenomenal. But this is not a video about that. This is about what Luminar can do. Okay, let's move on to a very old landscape photo of Milford Sound here. Again, 2 megapixel file. And if I zoom in, we can see what the original pixels actually look like. Just like before, a lot of JPEG compression going on, a lot of pixelation. And now let's have a look at what the original 1.09 upscale did. Here's our before, here's our after. To be honest, again, it really wasn't much of an improvement, if there was any improvement at all. Here was our before, here was our after. What's the difference? So the previous version of Upscale AI wasn't really doing anything more than just stretching the pixels that were already there to make the photo bigger. And that's not really what I expect from an Upscale AI tool. So the compression that exists in this file, the pixelation, all of that, it just wasn't taking care of that. So let's see what the updated version of the tool is capable of. Is it any better? So this was the original, this was upscaled with version 1.09, and this is upscaled with version 1.10. Look at that, so much cleaner, particularly in the sky where we had JPEG compression. Yes, we've still got this haloing going on, but that did exist in the original file, and it's a shame that Neo can't get rid of that, because I'm going to tease you again, but look at this, look at what is actually possible. So look, let's hide Neo's versions, go back to the original, and look at what we can actually do with AI upscaling. It can be truly remarkable, but look, for now, at least Luminar Neo is making steps in the right direction. Don't worry, I promise I'll do a separate video about how I'm achieving those excellent results for upscaling. But for now, if you want to check out the software that's doing that, I'll put a link in the description below. Photo AI, amazing. But Neo, that's what we're talking about today. Okay, let's have a look at how it handles animals. So again, I'm working off a 2.1 megapixel file originally. As with all of these, I've enlarged the size of the original so that we can compare it directly, but it hasn't gone through any upscaling process. So we still see that original file. So first of all, let's have a look at version 1.09. Yep, I'm actually clicking on and off of the difference and you can hardly see anything. What about with this fella? Before and after. Before and after, there really is hardly any difference whatsoever. But what about with the new update 1.10? That's nice. That is really nice. Let's come up and have a look at this fella. This is what the previous Upscale AI did. Again, you can see all of that JPEG compression going on in the body there. It didn't take care of that from this original pixelated file. It made it bigger, smeared some of the pixels together, but that's about it. Let's look at this new version. So much better. It's a little bit soft, to be honest, but it is a better upscale than what we had before. This was the original upscale, and this is what it can do now. And I'm not wanting to belittle the improvements that Skylum have made with this algorithm, taking it from this to this, because it is a really nice improvement. However, again, just to tease you, this is what is possible. Here's our before, here's our after. In fact, that's not the before, that is the upscaled version. This is the original. The before and the after, that is what can be achieved. Okay, let's look at one more example. Okay, a real blast from the past for me. This is my wife over 20 years ago. Now let's have a look at what the Upscale AI used to do for us. So this is Luminar's enhancement upscaling prior to this latest update. Let's have a look how much better it is now. Not a whole heap. Can't really see it like that, but if we zoom in, let's have another look. Here's our before, here's our after. Before and after. With this 6 megapixel file of my D70, I think I actually prefer the original algorithm's upscaling method. This one's just a little bit too soft, but to get around that, don't forget we've got that face enhancer AI, and that worked really well last time. Let's see what it does this time. Okay, I've zoomed right in so we can see all the pixels there. That's our original version. And this was the upscaled version with Luminar Neo, but let's see what it does with the face enhancer. Oh my word. Okay, before and after. I appreciate what it's trying to do, but that is not my wife right there. It's doing some weird stuff to the hair. It's changed the geometry of her face. And I don't even know what to say to that. And it's a shame we're finishing up on that one, because overall I think the update for Luminar Neo is a really good one. Speed, stability, all of that good stuff. And is Upscale AI improved? Yes, it is. But I've got to be honest, it was so poor originally that wasn't hard to make a step forward with that particular extension. So I admire and appreciate the fact that they have actually improved it. But as you will have seen from some of those examples I showed you that were done with a rival piece of software, there is still a long way to go with this particular extension for Neo. So my advice to you is, if like me you have a big back catalogue of low-res compressed photos that you want to breathe life back into, I would recommend checking out the software that I'll link in the description below, and I will do a follow-up video that once I do it, it will appear there, where I go into more detail about how to create those kind of improved upscaled images, and it's really a doddle because the software is doing it for you basically. So hopefully you'll see me in that video over there. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.